Crowds rolling in at Royal Ascot, and we are rolling into day 3 in the company of Sky Sports Racing Simon Mapletoft. Good morning, Simon, and the Racing Post's Maddy, Playle. Let's get straight into the Norfolk Stakes. Heavyweight clash between Ireland, America, Britain. 2-year-olds, 1,000 metres. Key starting point. Lady Aurelia was dynamite here, not once, but twice. Her son, American Rascal, looks cut from the same cloth based on that Keeneland romp, Simon.
Well, Graham, he certainly has inherited all that fantastic speed that she showed here, not once but twice. It was a blistering debut, winning by over 10 lengths. The opposition never saw which way he'd gone, and I think that early speed will be a key factor to the way this race unfolds here today. Got the low draw, and that might be good news for my selection.
What about this American Rascal? He didn't have to lead first time out, but he won't be hanging around here at Ascot.
No, I can imagine he's going to be a typical Wesley Ward sprinter, and he's going to be out fast and hopefully going to try and make all. We have to remember, though, that his debut came over the 4.5 furlongs round a bend. This is on turf, not dirt. It's going to be very different. And he's by Curlin, who's a champion sire, but most of his good progenies come on dirt. So we shouldn't underestimate how much of a different test this is going to be for him.
I sense you're a bit lukewarm on American Rascal. I think he's got a major part to play, and as Simon said, stall 1 makes it interesting, and stall 15 is the other American raider here, No Name Mets. Gulfstream May was his debut. I wasn't madly impressed, to be honest. He led, he showed good speed, he railed nicely, he was driven clear, but let's have a look at the ratings. It's 84p on time form for No Name Mets, as against 103p American Rascal. If time form are right, Maddy, then American Rascal is the pick of the Americans here.
Yeah, my suspicion would agree with that. I think No Name Mets could have some work to do. We saw the star quality from American Rascal, and No Name Mets just really is going to need to step up and deliver. And again, it's going to be very different for him.
Simon, you need to be of elite status to win a Norfolk Stakes, and there's one horse in here with that name and with that quality.
There is. Regarding the American horses, you never quite know how much a horse is going to come forward from first run to second. Now, Elite Status has had 2 runs already and could not have created a better impression for one of my favourite trainers, Carl Burke, who is based up in Yorkshire, doing tremendously well, got lots of chances here this week. This horse won on debut impressively and then up the ante in the listed National Stakes at Sandown, and that was a performance full of authority.
Maddy, Carl Burke doesn't throw extravagant plaudits around willy-nilly. When he says about a young horse, he has the potential to be a superstar sprinter, we have to listen.
And that's very much been the vibe with this horse all the way through. It's been about height, confidence in his ability, and that was just rewarded in spades at Sandown last time. There was an audible gasp from the crowd when he sort of swept clear, and you'd imagine that he's going to be meticulously prepared for this by a trainer who knows exactly what it takes to win Royal Ascot.
Stay with you. Let's stay with you. Talk to me about a horse called Devious.
Yes, Graham, we spoke about this earlier on in the week. He had an option in the Coventry Stakes. They've opted to go for this race. He won the same maiden race that was won by Little Big Bear last year. Actually did it in a quicker time, albeit those conditions are very different. His by Star Spangled Banner, horse who I mentioned previously on these previews, I think who's going to have a good week, has produced Royal Ascot winning juveniles before. This is a huge colt. He's strong, he's muscular, and I think it could have been a stroke of genius to go for this race over the 5 furlongs. He's a strong stayer. He's going to improve. We don't necessarily know that with some of the others.
I like him. He's in my numbers. I'd like to put in a good word for a horse called Noche Magica, another Irish raider, and one who has loads and loads of speed. But Simon, let's try and put a ribbon round the Norfolk Stakes with your numbers, please.
Well, for me, it's Elite Status, an exciting horse. I think he can complete the hat trick. So number 4, Elite Status for me for the placings. Number 1, the American horse, American Rascal. Number 10, No Name Mets, also stateside, of course. And number 3, Devious, to also make the frame.
Fantastic. I'm glad you agree, Simon. This looks a cracking race, doesn't it? I'm sticking with Devious, number 3 on top, followed by 4, 1 and 8. Elite Status, American Rascal, and Mon Sleeve to follow up.
Can't wait for this race. I'm a fan of Elite Status. That is the Norfolk, all wrapped up. Race 2, day 3, Royal Ascot is a tough one. It's the King George V Handicap. Let's have a look at the runners and riders and any number of strong contenders here. Top of the shop is Bertinelli, bound to be popular for Aidan and Ryan Moore. Charlie Appleby has Tagabawa, impressive last time. Perfuse for Michael Stout, seems to be improving fast. Davideo is very well bred and was impressive last time. Down the card, Lad Legend is a horse who's on the up. all sorts of good quality handicappers here. You need an improver who gets luck in running and is ahead of the mark. Let's start with one video. The video is Double March, a filly who's got Ascot form and is on the upgrade. Do bear in mind, this was 1.25 miles, but have a look at the way Double March swoops down the outside. She certainly isn't stopping at the finish. She has recent form, she has Ascot form. Ground is likely to be somewhat faster this time. Now, I've got to throw the floor open here. It's a straightforward question, Simon. What's your main choice for the King George V?
My main choice is Britannia, a horse who made a huge impression on me when winning over 10 furlongs on handicap debut at Newbury. A big, strong, powerful, imposing horse who takes his rating now to 104. I think it's going to be higher than that come the end of the season. He's going to be stepping into pattern company at some stage, and he'll take this, I think, en route. Again, for Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore said plenty about them this week, and this is another leading chance.
Same question, main choice?
Yeah, I also like Bertinelli, but I'm going to stick with Perfuse. Sir Michael Stout has won this race 3 times. He likes to target it. This horse has been brought along slowly in small fields. It was a muddling race. He won at Doncaster last time. There were new conditions to him. Quick ground. It was a bit of a sprint finish, but he really showed his quality. He's related to the St Leger winner Logician, and I think he's a typical Sir Michael improver. I think we're going to see him in group contests by the end of the season. Look out for Perfuse. He's going to be very good.
What I like here is what's called Wonder Legend, who seemed to hit a new level last time. The race he ran in at Doncaster was a pretty keen one, and he tore it apart. He won by 5 lengths. It's a big rise in the weights, I'll grant you, but he looks to be on the up. Any others we should mention for the places here?
I think Simon mentioned the London Gold Cup form, obviously. Desert Hero was well fancied for that and then disappointed. I think he'll be seen to better effect stepping up in trip here. He's still a colt of considerable potential, and he can deliver on some early promise for the William Haggis team.
My money weighed too heavily on Desert Hero at Newbury. I still think he has potential. Simon, let's try and get the winner and possibly 1 or 2 placed horses in this race.
Well, Perfuse is tactically versatile. He certainly showed that at Doncaster. I was there that day. It was an impressive performance, but I think he's going to find 1 too good in this group horse in the making here, Bertinelli. So for me, it's O'Brien and Moore. Number 1, Bertinelli. For the places, number 6, Perfuse. Number 3, Tagabawa. And number 7, your Wonder Legend.
Hopefully we can get a few on the board here between us, guys. Perfuse number 6 on top for me, followed by Wonder Legend, the 7, 1 Bertinelli, and 5 Desert Hero.
This is a tough one. I'm going to go 7, 6, 8, 1. Wonder Legend on top, Perfuse in second. I want to mention number 8, Davideo. If you're watching this in Hong Kong, how about this pedigree? Half brother to a champion. Time Warp moved beautifully when he won last time. So 7, 6, 8, 1, Wonder Legend, Perfuse, Davideo, Bertinelli. The King George V handicap is very difficult indeed. The Ribblesdale Stakes is race 3 on day 3 at Royal Ascot, and this is a big, big field, and we have a very strong favourite. Let's go down the card. Top 1, Alasiva, is bound to be one of the shorter price favourites of the week for Jim Crowley and the Gosdens. Unbeaten and looks high class. Blue Stocking is firmly on the upgrade. Infinite Cosmos from the Sir Michael Stout stable ran very well at York. She finished just ahead of Midnight Mile that day. And looking right down to the bottom of the card, 4 Aidan and Ryan. Warm Heart just got the better of Blue Stocking last time. Nothing between that pair. Let's get straight into this, because there's a filly here, number 1 on the race guard, Simon, Alasiva, who could hardly have been more impressive in 2 starts this spring.
Yeah, and fast-tracked to a very winnable race today. Impressive on debut in maiden company at Haydock. Even more impressive with a blistering display in that listed race at Goodwood last time out. The horse that she destroyed and broke by a good 6.5 lengths that day had a solid rating of 94. That puts that performance in some kind of context. It's only a second start as well. There's an awful lot more to come. It's very difficult to find any negatives about her.
Gosdens are rolling out some really, really high-class young prospects, and this is right there in the Premier League, I think.
Yes, and they've won 4 of the last 6 runnings of this race, so they know exactly what it takes. And the fact that they've plucked Alasifa from seemingly nowhere and gone, she's in good form, she's won that Goodwood race, let's supplement her. They've seen the opportunity. It's there for the taking. I struggle to see her getting beaten here, Graham.
Yeah, I find her hard to oppose. She's got that Frankel power, but not the fire. She seems to relax really well, which is going to be very important over 1.5 miles.
I also think this track will perhaps suit her better than Goodwood. She looks slightly uncomfortable just on that undulating course in the closing stages. Course was still very early days for her, so you can expect natural improvement too.
She's going to be held up. It's a wide draw. I wouldn't care too much about that, to be honest. Let's try and find a horse for the Quinella, the Trio, QP, etc. What's your backup plan?
I'm really keen on Joseph O'Brien's horse here, Lumiere Rock, who I think will step forward today. Now, this horse was second last time out in Group 3 company, did carry a small penalty, so I think that was another plus point for her, but was hampered in the run, would have finished a lot closer, would have made a real race of it with a clear passage on that occasion. Joseph O'Brien said afterwards, this horse is crying out for 1.5 miles. Well, that's exactly what she's got today.
One Irish challenger. You have another you like?
Yes, I do. I know we agree on Blue Stocking. I'll save her for a bit later on. Village Voice is a really interesting contender for Jessica Harrington. Again, a trainer who does very well in these fillies Group 1s. She's looked progressive without sort of knocking anyone's eyeballs out, but I think she's going to take a huge step forward here. She's got size, she's got scope, and she seems to handle a lot of different conditions, which will see her in good stead.
One race, key race, I think we need to push on here. It's that Newbury Fillies Classic Trial, in which Aidan O'Brien's filly Warm Heart just got the better of Blue Stocking, only a head between those two. I thought Blue Stocking, considering her inexperience, shaped with a ton of promise.
Yeah, I think that form's going to be reversed here, if I'm honest, Graham. Blue Stocking, she didn't have a great preparation for that race. High profile case, of course, missed the Oaks, which she was an anti-post fancy for, and she did look to shape really well, but you can never discount Aidan O'Brien. So Warm Heart will probably be involved as well, but I do fancy that form
Simon,
to switch.
1, 2, 3, 4, please.
Well, quite simply, it's Alasifa. I think she could be one of the stars of the week, number 1. Lumiere Rock, for me, I'm really keen on that one, number 10. Number 7, Infinite Cosmos, I think, can run a big race, good York form. And number 2, Blue Stocking, of course, to make the frame.
Very similar. Alasifa, the 1 in pole position. Blue Stocking 2, followed by 18, Village Voice, and 12, Midnight Mile, could be a sneaky one.
Well, this is dangerous, guys. I think it's the first time all week we've agreed on the same horse. We're all in it together. It's going to be number 1, Alasiva. She looks so good at Goodwood. Followed by 2, Blue Stocking, 19, Warm Heart, and Infinite Cosmos. Alasiva, no pressure. I'll come back to Ascot, Royal Ascot. It is Gold Cup time, the most historic race of the week. And this year, an unusual one. Stradivarius is at stud. Last year's winner, Kyprios, is injured at the moment. We do have one previous winner, Subjectivist. Let's go down the card. Broome steps up to this distance for the first time. Coltrane has been ultra progressive, major chance. Subjectivist ran away with the Gold Cup 2 years ago. Trushan has missed this race twice. He needs a little juice in the ground. If he gets it, he could be a player. Yabia is mercurial but very talented, and Elder Eldarov is one of the newcomers to the staying scene. So let's get right into this, and I think it makes sense, Simon, to start with this race 2 years ago when Subjectivist was absolutely dominant. Talk us through this race.
Oh, what an awesome performance this was for Mark and Charlie Johnston in the hands of Joe Fanning. He absolutely destroyed a quality field. He had the great Stradivarius behind on that occasion, but he relished the trip, didn't he? Every single yard of it. And what a tragedy it was that he then sustained a career-threatening injury, and it's full credit to Charlie Johnston and the team that they've got him back. He ran very well in Dubai in the Gold Cup back in March, and don't worry about the fact you haven't seen him since. It's been very much a deliberate policy to bring him here fresh. That little bit of rain we've had earlier in the week, I think, might just help him a little bit as well. If he bounces back, this horse won't need to improve on that performance 2 years ago.
Is he the same horse, Maddy, really?
I think he can be. He can be. He's not there yet, but his run in Dubai was a big step up on what he showed in Saudi Arabia. He rewarded Connections for coming back and choosing to race on after injury. I think this is a very open Gold Cup, and I think he's got proven form in the book. He's getting there. He's going to be involved, I think.
Yeah, that Gold Cup from 2 years ago, that form has a few whiskers on now. Let's go to a much more recent piece of form here at Ascot, 2 miles, Sagaro Stakes, and let's pick up the key players here. Coltrane, he has been ultra progressive, and watch the way he stretches clear late on. Have a look at the others in behind. Wise Eagle's been a smashing horse for his Connections. Trushan didn't really run his race that day, but it's hard to knock Coltrane, Maddy, in any way. He just keeps getting better and better.
He does. You have to remember he went through a period of his career with a quite severe injury after showing early promise, and he won the Ascot Stakes at this meeting last year over a very similar trip. So he just seems to be getting better and better, and he's relatively unexposed almost in these very Group 1 races. I fancy him a lot, and I think he's going to give Oisin Murphy a real big thrill.
Elder Eldarov, Queen's Vase this time last year. Talk me through that race, because that was the first day he announced himself as a potential Gold Cup contender.
Oh, we did indeed, and showed the world, I think, that he was potentially going to develop into a stayer of the highest quality. Well, of course, he's gone on to frank that opinion in great style. He won the Ledger, of course. Some people might suggest it was not a great year, but nevertheless, he won it well. And you know, I think his reappearance run, Graham, was highly encouraging at York. He was doing all of his best work again in the closing stages over a trip that was clearly short of his best, but that will put him cherry ripe today. And I think this young horse can really show them all the way home.
Will he stay 2.5 miles?
I think he might do. It's not set in stone, but he certainly shaped like that way last time.
We don't know whether Trushan will run. We do know that if he does run and runs up to his best, then he is a danger to every horse. And I'm fascinated by the fact that at long last, I think he's had a breathing treatment. He's been racing a bit too keenly in his races, Simon. Alan King will walk the track. He's missed this race for 2 years in a row. If he runs, and if the wind operation has worked, he's going to run a big one, I think.
The wind operation is a highly significant factor,
yeah.
I think. Holly Doyle hasn't lost faith in this horse. She's still bullish about him and believes that he can get back on track after a slightly disappointing start to the season. But there's no doubt that he does need significant rain to complete the picture.
Match bet between the two of you for 2 Aidan O'Brien horses, Emily Dickinson, the filly, and Broome, who's won here before. Which of those two, Maddy?
That's tough. I think I'll just side with Broome. As you say, he won the Hardwick Stakes here. He's a high-class horse. The form out in Dubai in that Dubai World Cup has been boosted by Siskany, who won out in America recently. And again, he's by Galileo. He shapes as if he'll just keep giving for pressure. It's what he does.
I'll be amazed if we all agree on this race, Simon. Sort this Gold Cup out for us, if you would.
Well, complex, isn't it? Eldar Eldarov, I think, is a young horse going places still. He's open to more improvements. I think he could be a real player in the staying division over the next couple of years. So he's the winner for me, number 12. Number 3, Coltrane, a real solid benchmark to the form. Number 6, Subjectivist. I can't leave him out of the equation. I think he's a previous winner with plenty of back class. And number 10, Yabir, could also step forward, I think. Has to prove that he stays, but he's got some quality form in the book.
One horse we already know stays, and that's Coltrane, number 3. He's my main selection, followed by Subjectivist, another proven performer, 6, followed by Echoes in Rain, number 13. I think she could be a dark horse at a big price, followed by Eldarov, the 12.
Yeah, I think there's one horse here who doesn't have any doubts, and that is Coltrane. I'll agree with Maddy and go with Coltrane on top. Number 3 to call the tune. 8 is second in for me, that's Trushan. If he runs, he's a danger. 12, Eldarov, and 13, one we haven't mentioned, William Mullins is a bit of a wizard with these stayers, and Echoes in Rain, much better known as a jumper, can get 4th. Coltrane for me and Maddy in the Gold Cup, and for Simon, it's going to be Eldarov. Well, if you said that the Britannia Handicap is the toughest puzzle of the week so far, you would not get any argument from me. 3-year-olds, straight mile, huge field. Let's have a look at a few of the main contenders. Starnberg has been a revelation on this last couple of runs. Racing Breaks rider, won very easily at Ascot last time. New Endeavour is very progressive. Docklands, we'll come to him in a moment. He was impressive here. And down towards the second half of the field, Quantum Impact is progressive with Dettori on board. Thunderball is a lively outsider who came good at Newbury last time. Just an Hour comes with a good word from Ireland. And Royal Cape down at the bottom of the weights came up against a good one at Haydock last time. Let's get straight into some video evidence here. Horse called Docklands is really on the up at the moment. Course and distance, softer ground admittedly, but I know you like Docklands, Maddy, and he was impressive last time.
I really do. I think this is a horse who's got so much potential off his handicap mark. He represents a really exciting young trainer in Harry Eustace. He struck at the meeting last year, and Hayley Turner on board. They're a potent combination, especially over this straight course. This horse, he's got form behind Cicero's Gift, so we'll see how that form works out in the St James's Palace Stakes. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't end this season, or even in a few days' time, very much a higher rated horse to follow for the future.
Not many horses go up 14 pounds in one hit, Simon. That's what this horse has done, but he looks worth it.
I remember Connections on the day saying we wanted to win with some authority to make sure we got into this race. Well, they certainly did that and more besides. Yes, it's a £14 rise, marker 94, but I agree with you to some extent. I think this horse could certainly improve upon that.
Another clear-cut Ascot winner was Racing Breaks rider. He's had a very good start to 2023. 3 handicaps, 3 wins, including this Ascot success. As you can see, it was emphatic, but it was a small field. It didn't have the depth of Dockland's race, and having gone up in the weights, I wonder if he's just shown his hand to the handicapper. So let's go around the table here. Simon, I know there's an Irish horse in here who you like the look of.
There is indeed. It's a horse called Just an Hour for Joseph O'Brien, who won over a mile at Killarney. It was a hard-fought success in maiden company. The horse, I thought, did well under the circumstances. It was a muddling sort of race, but I thought it was a nice confidence-boosting victory. Perhaps more significant form came before that at Dundalk, finishing very close behind San Antonio, who of course went on to excel in the D Stakes. So we can get some kind of grasp of the level of form. This one is unexposed, I think is potentially well treated off this mark of 90, and perhaps crucially, that middle draw could be quite useful.
Are you with the Irish team as well?
No, I've got another one to mention though. Surely Not for Dominic French-Davis and Holly Doyle. This is a horse who's won 2 red-hot handicaps now. I think if he was trained by anyone else, he'd be a shorter price for this. The style of victory both times has suggested that there's more in his locker. I think he's definitely going to run a big race at a big price.
I think New Endeavour is one horse we should make a positive mention of. He's going the right way. It was pretty impressive at Kempton last time. But we could be here all day talking out the Britannia. Let's wrap it up, Simon, with your 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, well, it's Just an Hour for me. Horse number 25. In behind, number 19, Quantum Impact, I think still on the improve. 9, Docklands has to be in there. And 21, Good Karma to also make the frame.
Hopefully he can take another huge step forward. It's 9 Docklands for me, 16 Surely Not, 6 Racing Breaks rider. He's got that course and distance form, followed by High Bank for Godolphin. I think he could be better of their 2 chances.
I'm hoping you've both missed one here. I'm going to take a wild swing here with number 22, Thunderball. It took him 10 times to win a race, but when he did, he won it in tremendous style at Newbury. The second has won easily since. Got a very good young claimer on, Billy Garrity. Be a huge price. I'm going to go 22 Thunderball, 9 Docklands, 8 New Endeavour, and 27 Royal Cape in a fiendishly difficult Britannia Stakes. Let's move on to race 6 on day 3 at Royal Ascot. This is the Hampton Court Stakes. It's a big field, smart 3-year-olds on the round course, 1.25 miles. Let's have a look down the card at the potential main contenders. Drum roll is on the upgrade for Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore. Bold Act, lots of experience, very consistent. Epictetus ran in the French Derby and ran very well last time. Exoplanet ran really well at Newbury, but he's got a bit to do with Bold Act at the weights. Torito, key horse here, smooth as silk in a good handicap at Epsom on Derby Day. And Waipiro comes here on a recovery mission after running pretty well in the Derby. So all sorts of options here. Let's get straight down to it, Simon. What's your main fancy?
Torito, I like this horse a lot. This horse did have an option of running in one of the handicaps here this week. I think it's significant that they do decide to go for the Group 3 instead. I thought it was an impressive run at Epsom last time. Handicap debut. The horse again took that form to a new level, but clearly highly respected connections. The Gosdens feel that this horse is a group horse, and they're happy to take the chance. I think this is the winner.
He made light work of a good handicap at Epsom. Now, Simon, some people will look at the jockey bookings here and see that Frankie Dettori is on Epictetus and that Benoit de la Sayette is aboard Torito. But I think there's a reason for that. Benoit has already struck up a good rapport with this fellow.
And continuity, I think, is so important. That's something they acknowledge strongly at Clarehaven. We've seen it on occasions with Robert Haviland keeping good rides, one of the other stable jockeys. But Benoit, of course, is a young man that the stable have great faith in, and they're not shy about putting him on any decent horse, and he'll do the business if the horse is good enough on the day.
I think he's going to be a danger to all, but there are a few others here who deserve plenty of respect, Maddy.
Yeah, still a little way out, but I think the market has got this a bit wrong. I wouldn't be surprised to see if there are some changes between the next couple of days. For me, Waipiro is a horse who has a really good chance in this on form, and also the filly Cunningham. Obviously she boasts that Oaks form. Waipiro, he was a little bit disappointing in the Derby on face value, but the track might not have played to his strengths there. Still think he ran on with enough promise. I think it's way too early to be discounting a horse of his calibre. I think he should be much, much shorter in the market. I think he's going to like this track, he's going to run a big race, and Cunningham, obviously we don't need to explain her Epsom exploit. She showed a great attitude and an interesting choice to run a filly in this race.
I'm with you on Waipiro. He's got a great pedigree. He's a half-brother to a top-quality horse in Hong Kong called Waikuku, who got better and better over time. I thought the damage was done early at Epsom. He missed the break slightly. He got in a very ordinary tactical position. He was much more prominent when he won at Newmarket and when he ran so well at Lingfield. I like his chances as well. I like Torito, but Simon, I know you're a Torito man. What about the 2, the 3 and the 4, please?
Okay, well, Torito it is then, number 14 for me. Number 2, Drumroll, I think has to be in there. Horse who looks to be going the right way. Let me just throw in as well, horse number 4, Bolster, who was very impressive, winning in novice company at Windsor over 10 furlongs for the Crisford team. Looks as though that one can take a big step forward. And number 3, Bold Act, reliable and tough to complete the 4.
Waipiro number 15 on top for me, the 16 Cunningham in next, followed by 2 Drumroll, 9 Epictetus.
I'm going with Waipiro as well. I think he's much better than the Derby gave him chance to show. It's 15 Waipiro, nothing not to like about 14 Torito. 9 Epictetus has good quality Group 1 form in the French Derby, and 3 Bold Act, as Simon said, very consistent and a tough performance at Newbury. It's got a nice shape, this. 2 Waipiros, 1 Torito. Between us, I hope we found the winner of the Hampton Court. We're off to the Palace for race 7 on day 3 at Royal Ascot. This is the Buckingham Palace Handicap. Another really tough contest. Let's have a look at the runners and riders and a few of the main contenders. Gorak has shot up the weights, probably a bit too high now. Vafotino, super consistent, totally charming, seems to be coming to the boil. Biggles has a great record in big 7 furlongs handicaps. Croupier is at the top of his game. Have a look at number 19, Baradar. He is dangerous. And further down, number 23, an Old Ascot favourite, Ropey Guest, was second in this race last year. We've got one video here. It might be all we need, guys, because I think this Victoria Cup galloping clue is going to be really significant. When we pick them up, have a look at the near side group by and large. Biggles comes on strong for second, just gets up on the line for second place ahead of Vafotino. Keep an eye on the purple colours in behind, quartered white cap. Baradar had to cover a lot of ground having been switched, and Totally Charming is not disgraced in 8th. I'll get straight off the fence and say that I like Baradar here, chaps. I thought he had to cover a lot of ground when switched. He's been very consistent since he joined George Bowie. So I've made my case for Baradar. I know you like Totally Charming, Maddie.
Yes, another
Same
George
stable.
Bowie horse, indeed. So hopefully he's going to have a good result in this race. This is a horse who improved out of recognition last season, and usually when horses do that, you start to wonder where their ceiling is. This year, he's had 2 runs, been sent off favourite on both of them. Okay, he might have disappointed on that front, but they were both very solid runs, and I just get the indication that George Bowie, wonderful target trainer as we know, has had this race in mind and is going to deliver this horse to perfection. He's got a great jockey on board, an interesting booking. I think he's drawn in the right place, and he ticks a lot of boxes.
Can you recall which trainer won this race last year?
Off the top of my head, I can't.
It was George Bowie with
There
Inver
you
Park,
go.
so he has previous in this. We shouldn't forget Biggles, Simon. His record is one of real consistency, especially at Ascot, and cherry on top perhaps, he has a certain Armour on board for the first time.
Which is always a plus. I wonder about the draw. You made a very good point. You thought the high gates were the best place to be. I tend to agree. Biggles is drawn low in stall 3, so that's going to be a test for the great jockey. This brings me on to Croupier, my fancy, who's got a nice draw, I think, in stall 23, not too far away from your fancy here. Got the job done in a hard-fought Hambleton handicap at York last time. That's a tough race to win, but I think 7 and a stiff 7 here at Ascot, Graham, is this horse's optimum distance. He's in the Bunbury Cup as well, by the way, next month, so they're very happy with 7 furlongs for this horse. And I just think that he's got a lot going for him. Will Buick, I don't know what kind of week he's going to have, but I think he rides a winner here.
I like Croupier as well, and if you like Croupier, you've got to like Northern Express, who ran him very close in that York race. So they're in my numbers, but Simon, this is a tough one, but I know you're a Croupier man. You're at the casino here.
Yes, I am indeed. Number 15, Croupier, definitely the one for me. From that high draw, although I've put a few in from a lower draw as well here, I think number 5, Kingdom Come, who impressed me on the all-weather, could step forward. Number 5, number 6, Montecebe, knows all about this place. And number 18, Le Special for the Roger Varian team, I think is open to enough progress to also make the frame.
Yet sticking with the high draws, Totally Charming number 7, followed by 6, Montecebe, back to form last time. He's regular in these races, can perform well. Croupier number 15 next, followed by Biggles, drawn low, 14.
Yeah, I like this race. I like the George Bowie angle, and I like number 19, Baradar. I think he's sitting on a peak performance. He's on top, ahead of 14 Biggles with Ryan Moore, 4 Vafotino, super consistent, 15 Croupier. Simon is hoping to rake it in with Croupier. Maddy is totally charming as always, and I'm a Baradar man in the Buckingham Palace.